Yusaku Matsuro was a very popular actor in Japan who sadly passed away at a very young age. He was diagnosed with bladder cancer but basically told the doctors to fuck off, which apparently wasn't a very good decision. Due to his iconic looks and acting ability, he ended up inspiring a lot of anime characters and starring in a lot of movies, with the resurrection of the Golden Wolf being one of my favorites. The movie begins with a bank heist perpetrated by an unknown man who kills the person holding onto the bank's money with no hesitation. In the next scene we see Yusaku Matsuro playing the role of Tetsuya Asakura, who's seemingly the perfect company man that operates under the classic mindset of passively accepting his position in the world and just shooting for the next promotion. He and his coworkers discuss the bank robbery and one of them says that their bosses aren't much better than the bank robber. They basically fuck over their employees by doing illegal shit to get more money, and as one of the characters says, if there's no getting caught, you can really do anything. Asakura dismisses this shit by saying that they should all just suck it up and move on, and that the important thing here is to get promoted in the company. What they didn't tell you is that it was raining during the bank robbery and that we see Asakura sneeze his ass off after it. Guess who pulled off the heist? Asakura is a salaryman by day and a ruthless outlaw at night, which means that his attitude at work is actually bitterly ironic. Just like his bosses and the people on the top of the food chain, he doesn't actually believe in all that shit about not breaking the rules and just sucking it up and moving on. He throws away any morality he might have had and does evil shit without batting an eye. He lies, steals, kills, beats women, and even spikes a woman's drink and gets her addicted to heroin without her knowing. He fucks her while he's having breakfast too. All this in the name of getting the power and money that he wants to have and would never be able to get otherwise. The idea that an honest working man would never be able to achieve that level of success is driven in further when Asakura ends up manipulating his bosses into getting him to do some wet work for them. While speaking to him in his company man persona, they admit that while he's the perfectly obedient and productive worker, he will never be able to significantly rise above his position, and that the only way that could ever happen is if he essentially allows himself to get used to do their dirty work. Obviously even that is a lie, because there will be no reason to leave Asakura alive after he gets the job done. He'd just be a loose end. And that's the picture of the average man's position that the story paints. If you're not born with money and connections, no matter how hard you may work and how well you play by the rules, you'll never be allowed to leave from under the foot of the top brass, because to them the only thing that you can be is either another cog in the machine or a tool to be used and disposed of. Asakura is smart and ruthless enough to know that though, and so he manages to turn the tables and get everything he wants from them. After all the murder, theft and manipulation, he manages to get the majority of the company shares and finally becomes a rich man. So the moral of the story is that to succeed in a world full of ruthless pieces of shit that get most of their power handed to them, you need to be an even more ruthless piece of shit, right? But this movie goes deeper than that. It's not until the final 20 minutes that we get a deeper look at Asakura's motive for doing all of the shit, and it's completely explained by this single scene. As he's standing in his room, seemingly satisfied by his success, he suddenly lets out a primal scream and starts feverishly acting like an animal, grunting and jumping around on all fours. This is when the title of the movie starts making sense. This is the resurrection of the Golden Wolf. The wolf represents man's primal strength and desires. It's something that is quite likely to exist in every one of us. After keeping his head down while going to night school and eventually starting work for a corporation, Asakura's wolf side was essentially dead, and when he starts going on his animalistic path of rising up in the world at any cost, he essentially resurrects it. Almost any man can relate to the idea of going fully primal, forsaking morality and ignoring the law in order to achieve success by outmaneuvering everybody, and subsequently escaping the system that allows for him to get taken advantage of while ensuring that he'll never actually rise above his position in the hierarchy. This thought has probably popped into many people's heads, and while for the vast majority of them it will always be just an obviously unrealistic fantasy, the opposite thought of putting your head down and never owning or expressing that other part of yourself can seem miserable enough for the fantasy to start looking much more appealing, no matter how devoid of any sense of morality it is. And that's why I love how that same fantasy is dismantled at the end of the movie. It turns out that despite seemingly using her just for information, Asakura actually loved this girl, and after selling his shares of the company, he bought 2 plane tickets for her and himself so they can leave all the shit behind together. So we see that after getting to laugh in his brand new Lambo, what Asakura really wants is to take his girl and get away from all the shit with her. But the consequences of his by all means necessary attitude catch up to him and make that impossible when she stabs him in the stomach. After that, she ends up dying as well. Him crumpling the plane tickets over his girl's dead body shows how pointless it all was, which is only punctuated by him letting himself die, despite having enough time to go get medical attention. It might be a simple sentiment, but I think there is value in the message that neither letting yourself get taken advantage of, nor ferociously taking advantage of others and going fully primal will end up giving you what you actually want. There's a middle ground here that might be hard to get to, but it's the only way of life that's actually worth striving for. I think this ending says something about money and material success as well. You might enjoy yourself a lot when you become wealthy and powerful, but that type of happiness will always be transitory. You'll get used to the wealth, and when that happens, it will become clear that what matters most are the things you love.